Hi, I'm Lauren Bennett. I am the lead product engineer on the spatial analysis and data science software development team at Esri. And I've also been coordinating our analysis efforts in response to COVID-19. One of the amazing things that we've seen is the way that the GIS community is really getting involved and playing a critical role in all of the response efforts to COVID 19, and especially in kind of some of the operational decisions that are getting made. A really good example of this is siting test facilities, since we know that testing is going to be a key factor in being able to get back to some sense of normalcy. And we need to be able to test everybody, and we need to be able to test often. And so, siting these test facilities is a really important operational decision that is going to have a huge impact on how we move forward. And GIS and spatial analysis play a key role in that. So, what we're looking at here is a map of population data for the state of Florida. We're looking at it at the census tract level. Now, of course, we're looking at population because we know that we want to site these locations, these test facilities, near where people live. Now, we also know that we don't want to base it just on where people live. It's not just about the underlying population. There's some other factors we want to take into account. So we know, for instance, that we want people within urban areas to be about a 30-minute drive time maximum to one of these test facilities. And we want people in rural areas to be about a 60-minute drive time to these test facilities. But we also know that a 30-minute drive time does not pose the same burden to all of the communities that we're trying to serve. So if we bring in CDC's social vulnerability index, we can start to get a sense of how some of our more underserved communities, how we might be able to serve them better. So when we take into account things like race, socioeconomic status, access to vehicles, reliance on public transportation, density of housing, all of these things that the social vulnerability index takes into account, we can think about the fact that some of these more vulnerable populations need a shorter drive time because a 30-minute drive time might be actually triple the travel time on public transportation, for instance. So we can take all of these different factors, layer them together, and make sure that ultimately we're allocating these resources and siting these test facilities in a way that's truly equitably delivering this service to our communities. So we've considered all of the demand factors that go into this model. We also want to think about the potential locations, places, these candidate facilities where we can perform this kind of testing. Now, with our demand data and those facilities, we can move on to what's called location allocation. And this is really where we start to bring in those facilities, we bring in that demand. And in this case, what we're doing is we are really easily using a built-in model solving to maximize coverage and minimize the number of facilities. So we're maximizing the coverage of these test facilities, making sure that everybody is being served at the levels that we are setting. But then we also want to minimize the number of facilities. So we want to set up as few of these testing facilities as possible, as long as we're meeting those criteria of delivering this service equitably. So we can turn on the results of that analysis, and we see the locations that were chosen, those test facilities that were chosen as ideal candidates for putting these test sites. So this is where we want to start kind of rolling out, setting up those facilities. And we can see that many of them were actually set up in some of those more vulnerable communities. So we can see that our modeling of the importance of those variables really played a key role in where those facilities were sited. And so we can be sure that we're serving those communities as equitably as possible. It's been absolutely amazing to watch the way that the GIS community is stepping up and playing this role in the analysis, the spatial analysis, to make these operational decisions as responsibly and as analytically as possible so that we can move forward and really respond to COVID-19 as best we can. So thank you so much.